In 2018, Mack Rides debuted a brand new model, the Xtreme spinning coaster. Since then, 2 Xtreme spinners have been built, Ride to Happiness at Plopsaland just last year, but the first was Time Traveler. For the most part, it's received tons of praise since its opening in 2018, and I can definitely see why. This coaster offers a unique experience each time you ride, taking different elements in different positions. It's a one-of-a-kind feeling you can't find anywhere else. Well, I guess now it's 2 of a kind since Ride to Happiness opened. Anyway, Time Traveler is a really fun coaster, one that makes you laugh each time you're on it, one that's pure fun, and I love it for that. However, since during each ride you experience different elements different ways, there are some times when your ride is fantastic and other times where it's not anything special. Facing backwards, sideways, and all other sorts of configurations is awesome, but the ride isn't that good when you're mostly forward the whole time. The layout is fine on its own, and I think Time Traveler would be an above-average coaster with normal trains, but it definitely shines with the one it has. The spinning trains allow for a better ride experience, but the great thing about this coaster is even though it spins all throughout its course, you don't get dizzy or nauseous at all. In fact, I wouldn't really say that the cars are spinning, just they're rotating slightly so that you see the ride from different perspectives. And some people might be intimidated by this ride because of the fact that it spins, but take my word for it along with so many other people's. It's not anything like other spinning coasters. Getting into the experience, Time Traveler is located in the front of the park to the right of the main entrance. It has a really cool entrance sign, and you can watch the coaster go around the course from a viewing platform near the exit of the ride. The queue is well themed, with 2 levels full of switchbacks separated by a flight of stairs. There's lots of posters and signs describing the theme of the ride, which has something to do with a clockmaker trying to invent time travel with his daughter or something. You're assigned your row on the 2nd floor before you go up to the station, and then you walk up the stairs knowing what row you're supposed to be in. I definitely recommend the back car on Time Traveler. It offers a wilder ride experience in my opinion, and it's worth it for that drop out of the station alone. The operators were also usually very friendly and open to row requests. The station is very visually impressive as well, with lots of clocks and rotating gears. On Time Traveler, there are 4 cars, each with 4 people in them. The row you get doesn't really matter as much as the car, and like I said, I definitely recommend the back one. How it works is that both rows 1 and 2 are in the first car, rows 3 and 4 are in the second car, and so on. The seats are very comfortable. They're the typical Mack ride seats with a lap bar. The lap bar will not come down during the ride, so if you can avoid getting stapled, you'll get some great airtime and hang time. But instead of having operators pull the restraints down, there's an automatic system that pushes the restraints as far down as possible, something like a B&M wing coaster with its vest restraints. But just move up in your seat and push your legs up if you want to avoid getting stapled, and the restraint should hold for the entire ride. To start the layout, you drop out of the station immediately. It's actually a really tall drop since the station is elevated and it drops into a valley. In the front view cars, this drop doesn't do that much, but in the back car, it's one of the best airtime moments I've ever experienced. You're sideways during this no matter what row you're in, and you get absolutely ejected out of your seat. It's probably the single greatest element in the park, and it's a fantastic way to start the ride. You then go through a dive loop, which offers different sensations depending on which way you're facing. Pretty much all of the maneuvers on Time Traveler feel different depending on where you are, which is one of the things that makes this coaster special. The dive loop is probably the weakest inversion out of the 3 on the ride, but it's still fun. After that, you twist to the left and turn up right into the launch track. The section after the drop doesn't do much in the way of forces, but it's that pure fun feeling that Time Traveler excels at. You stop when you're on the first launch track and then launch immediately to 45 miles per hour. It's a Mack launch, so it's not forceful at all, but the initial kick sometimes catches me off guard. You immediately fly into a high turn. It's really fun facing either straight down or straight up on this element. You either fall down into your restraint or are facing the sky and back in your seat. On a normal coaster, this element wouldn't be anything special, and it's not when you're facing straight forward, but due to the unique seating arrangement, it's a great part of the ride. Following the overbank is the legendary
95-foot tall loop.
The most memeable part of the ride is actually a really fun element. There's some pretty nice hang time, which is even better if you're sideways or backwards. After the
95-foot tall loop
is a really snappy S-hill that most of the time you wouldn't see coming. If I'm not facing it, it would really catch me off guard. It's very aggressive with some nice whip and a tad of airtime. The next helix is actually pretty forceful. I liked it the most while facing the ground. You then fly through a pretty floaty corkscrew before you hop into this little hill before the second launch. This is a really small hill, but it offers a strong pop of ejector airtime. This is another element that can really surprise you if you can't see it, and it makes it that much better when you can't. You can barely feel the second launch. It only increases the speed a little bit, and it's pretty weak. I feel like the whole second half only really exists to get the train back up to the station, since it's very short. After the launch, you traverse an overbank and then twist up into the brakes. The overbank has a nice pull to it, but the rest of the second half doesn't really do much at all. I definitely think that Time Traveler would have benefited from one or two more elements, maybe an extra helix and a slow roll into the brakes instead of its abrupt ending. Like I mentioned earlier, rides on time travel can vary greatly. When it's at its best, this ride is a top 3 coaster for me, and an unforgettable experience. I had 1 or 2 rides out of my 6 total that were incredible, but I also had one that was pretty bland, and from that ride alone I'd probably rank Powder Keg and maybe even Wildfire ahead of it at the same park. But because of that, Time Traveler's uniqueness is what makes it special. Where else can you experience inversions and extreme maneuvers while spinning and constantly seeing things from new perspectives? That also makes it super re-rideable. It's not too intense and it doesn't make you nauseous, and part of the fun is riding over and over again to see the same elements from a new perspective. All that being said, I love Time Traveler. It's a perfect fit for Silver Dollar City and a fantastic prototype for what looks to be a successful model for Mack. As of now, it's far and away my favorite spinning coaster, at least until I get on Ride the Happiness. For me, it's a close number 2 in the park to Outlaw Run, but those 2 rides combined with Powder Keg and Wildfire make a great top 4 coasters for Silver Dollar City. So wrapping this review up, I'll give Time Traveler a 9.5 out of 10. I've given this rating to a lot of coasters, but they all deserve it. Is Time Traveler a perfect 10 out of 10? No. But is it an incredible experience? Yeah. I love this coaster and it's one that I'd highly recommend you get out to and ride.
A 95-foot tall loop.